Hi everyone, our Vision podcast is back for a new season. Thank you everyone who watched the first season. The feedback so far is great and I really appreciate. Today we start the second season with someone that could be my soulmate. Indian heritage, born and raised in Portugal, based in Dubai, but also lived in London and Milan. Professionally, is a brand strategist and a PR and communication expert. She speaks 7 languages, that's true, and she loves to travel and network. So, welcome to Avani.
Hi, João. Thank you so much
Avani.
for having me here today.
Thank you so much for accepting. I'm very happy to be here with you. I think we are so much to share with people.
Definitely.
So, thank you. Avani, I will start with talking about business and culture because this podcast is about it. Business, marketing, and travel, and the importance of the culture on the business. So you already lived in different cultural contexts, and it changed the way that you build trust, that you negotiate, that you reach people. So how culture affect those issues?
So I'd start off by saying that living in Europe, you have a very different way of working and adapting. There are different communication styles. And my experience is mainly based in GCC, Europe, and Asia. So I'd say that GCC is the region where it's more about building trust and in-person communication. So it takes time and relationship building in order to succeed in your career or business in this region. When it comes to Europe, as you already know, it's more process-driven. So it's very much very structured and process-driven. So that aspect is important, but not as much. And in Asia, interestingly, and there's a lot of big Asian community here in the GCC as well, is very much hierarchy-driven. So it's a lot about knowing how to understand those boundaries and respect those boundaries when it comes to the organizational hierarchy in the Asian region.
And do you have any example of how culture affect your work?
Definitely, yes. I mean, when speaking about different cultures and people, it's very important to understand who you're speaking to, who your client or your audience is. So I believe, for example, in GCC, it's very important to have the cultural understanding, the traditions that are followed in this region, how there is a relationship building aspect in terms of is it more formal or informal. So I have a few examples, like in Europe, you could be very direct with your communication, and whereas here in GCC, I believe it's important to have a stronger EQ when it comes to, discussing or putting a point forward and being very reasonable in the way you rationalize, your perspective and your opinion. So I think that is a key change that I've seen in this region, but it also helps you become a much more emotionally sound with other people's culture and communication styles.
And share with us a bit of your journey, how you start until now.
So I have a very interesting journey. I actually started my career in brand management in Europe. And then I moved to the GCC and started working with agencies in this region. And my background, as you know, is luxury brand management. So my career started off very much through sales and expansion of markets. And then I specialized in marketing, PR, and communications, which was my passion. I must say that in my journey so far, at this point in time, I've come to the best breaking point, and I think I've reached where I dreamt to reach throughout my life, which was becoming kind of a brand custodian for brands in this region and globally, but especially in GCC, where it's helping bring the bridge between sales and marketing. So I think as a brand custodian, what I really do is support marketing strategy, PR, and comms for brands in this region who are looking to expand in the region or globally, and support them with hands-on and in-house expertise, because I think that's crucial in this region. So this is what I do.
And how is to be an entrepreneur and woman in Dubai?
It's actually quite tough. A lot of people think Dubai is a land of opportunities, and I think it's very female driven, and there's a lot of amazing women entrepreneurs in this region. I think although we have that support as women all around the world, we have to wear a lot of hats. So I think number one is a lot of resilience, a lot of focus, and a lot of support. And one thing that's unique about this region, even though it's a very fast-paced region, is that there's a lot of female communities in this region for entrepreneurs where you can learn, be part of, and enhance your skills. So I think it's actually a very good region for women entrepreneurs.
And which challenge do you face?
I think the challenge I mostly face in this region is explaining to clients the difference between long-term success and short-term gains. So this region is very fast-paced, and everyone is looking for results, within a day. They believe that, okay, we have a brand strategist on board, and this is going to immediately, within, let's say, a month or a week, change our positioning. But anything that is related to brand building, brand psychology, and success takes its due time. So I think that's my biggest challenge, is how I communicate and show that trajectory to my clients.
And how do you add value to your clients?
That's a very good question. A lot of the times clients will ask you, what is unique about you? Why would we have you on board? And I always say it's not about what marketing is. Everyone can do marketing. It's a lot about how you measure and you tackle the goals and tackle the goals that you have been set forward by the management with a very different approach to the general marketing trends in this region. Okay, so a lot of the times people will work for you, but they don't truly believe the brand is theirs. So I think number one is ownership of the brand. Number two is results driven. So I prefer to show results versus talk about, what can be achieved. And number three is staying true to myself. So authenticity, trust, and resilience are the main aspects. And I think in this region, it's very important to have someone on board that truly believes your brand is their brand in order to make it successful. So that's, I think, the unique point.
I work as well as marketing, and I feel that a lot of clients, they think that marketing, social media, anyone can do, So sometimes they think that is not important to have a professional working on that. What is your perception on that, and do you feel the same, and how do you explain to the people that social media is really important and is not for like my nephew can do or my niece can do it because they are young, and they know how to use the computer and the internet?
That's a very good question, Joe. I think we've already discussed this out of our other meetings, and it's a funny question, because sometimes I tend to say this to clients when they say, Avani, I could use this platform, or I could just do it myself, or my assistant or admin can post on social media, and I always look at them and I say, branding is psychology. Right? And your brand is your essence. So anyone can go and make a post on social media, right? But is it really reaching your target audience? Is it really expressing or communicating your brand values? That is a difference between a marketeer and a difference between someone who's not a marketeer doing your posts or, running your social media campaigns. Coming back to how important social media is, well, social media is your mirror. It's your image. It's fortunately or unfortunately the only way that you can stand out and you can communicate what your brand stands for and what you offer to your audience. So I think a very important aspect here is marketeers come with a very strong background of understanding their audiences, a very strong EQ towards what their preferences are, and hence it's not a job that anyone can do. So I think that difference is quite a challenging difference to explain to a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners, because they believe that social media a lot of the times is just knowing how to operationally work around social media and post.
Yes, and sometimes the clients, they think that you as a marketing team, you are just a cost and not an investment. And how can you explain to them that it's an investment. So what you focus on when you are working on marketing side, that the client says, okay, this is a good investment and this is not a cost.
So a lot of the times I tell my clients, who don't truly believe marketing is the essence for a brand, I always say, look at the examples of brands that have, been in the region or been in globally for many centuries, like luxury brands, right? And you think marketing is not required. Now, even if marketing is not digital or through social media, there's something called word of mouth. Okay.
Mhm.
So how do you measure your results is based on the customer base that you grow and you sustain. So I tend to always say measure my work or my team's work on the basis of not just how many customers we can achieve, but how many we retain throughout our project or work. I think that's number one. And that's very easy, as you know, to quantify. And thanks to, digital marketing, it's much easier to also understand where you're standing in terms of your visibility, of your awareness, of your engagement. So I always say, give a 3 months, quarter, or a semester KPI set. And based on that, see how much value the marketing strategy brings to your brand. Because marketing strategy is not one aspect, it's a 360 value, right? And you might love a brand, but you might not be able to afford a brand. But that love is because of marketing.
Yeah, of course.
Not because you can purchase or you've had an experience of purchasing that brand. So I always say building the love for the brand is number one. And then second, maintaining the customers in love with your brand and keeping them, loyal to your brand is actually the key to any sustainable, successful brand.
It's really nice. So let's talk about leadership. Who inspire you?
Okay, I have two people that inspire me. It's probably going to sound a bit like a cliche saying this, but it's my reality.
Is it your father?
It's my father and my mother.
Yeah.
So, personally speaking, my mother, I think she's my sounding board. She's my emotional power. I think as a woman, when you have a mother that has an extremely high level of EQ and understanding and is able to support you and navigate, I think your emotional side is, you're very blessed to have that emotional support. So I think my mother definitely, when it comes to my personal life, my father in terms of professionally and leadership, because my father's a self-made man and he's navigated his life in a very humble and ethical manner, and he believes in hard work. He says nothing comes without hard work. But one thing that I always admired about him is he always said, lead by influence, not by authority. So he always used to say, if you lead with influence, that will gain you respect. If you lead by authority, that is not the same case. So I think they are truly my inspirations.
Yeah, it's very nice. And what expectations do you think that people have on you? Not just your family, but your family, your friends, your clients, the society. Do you feel that pressure about expectations?
I think expectations is a very interesting word. I truly believe that you should, regardless of what people expect of you, do the best that you can for your people. Might that be your professional life? Might that be your personal life? And I think, yes, this, today's day and age, expectations are pretty high, Even as a woman, you're expected to be able to navigate your personal life, your home life, your work life, your professional life. And you're expected to network and go out there and meet people and exercise and also have a bit of eat well,
and
have
have
a bit of
social
fun,
life and go
So
out and have a family and whatever.
Yes, spend time with your parents, spend time with your
Yes.
siblings, go on family holidays. I mean, your expectations are never going to be ending. So I think
Yes.
the most crucial aspect here is prioritizing these expectations. And I think that is the key. Even in my work, I prefer to prioritize what is is required at that point in time and what is crucial versus, distracting myself, trying to achieve other expectations or other, goals that would probably not have the same kind of, success or impact. And I think that's, if you apply the same for personal life, then you can navigate life much more easily.
Yes, I totally agree with you. This is
Yeah.
a key point is, create balance. What are most important versus what are not that important. And for you, not for society and not for the pressures of your circle, but what makes sense for you and what you want to do about your life. Because I also think that there are a lot of people that they go forward with their lives about what others think about where they should go, you know. But in general, I think there is a huge pressure, especially for women, because they need to be a mom and take care of the family, and at the same time nowadays it's very important to have a career and to be successful, so it's very hard to manage to manage that. Something that, to bridge to this next question, is about how you manage your emotions, about these expectations, about this balance, and also when came up to make decisions, because daily you make a lot of decisions, and how you use your emotions on that.
I think the most interesting part of EQ is that you're learning every day, right? So
Yes.
one of my main priorities, and I think in the last few years I've come across and learned, is how to pause. I think
Yeah.
pause is the key word. Pause, listen, and
Breathe.
breathe. Yes, definitely breathe. I think that is the key in taking decisions in your life. And a lot of the times it supports you in not taking ego-driven decisions or rash decisions. It helps you kind of it's process the information that you have just received, understand it, decode it, and then take a decision based on that. So I think that is how emotional intelligence is so, so important. Because, you must have heard millions of people saying this, and it's very true, and I hope a lot of people actually would apply this more, is that the thought process is more important than the reaction.
Of course.
So if you need to take a step back, pause, listen, understand, that is the ideal way to navigate any decision you take in your life. And that also gives you a better understanding of your surrounding, of what is happening around you, what are the requirements around you, and what is going to be the outcome of the decision you take. So I think that's the key.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I also try to manage and identify my emotions. And something that people don't know, usually it's you don't feel one emotion, you feel a range of emotions at the same time, right? And you need to identify which emotions are you feeling in that moment, and try to balance. And okay, so maybe my decision is because I'm feeling that way, I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling, negative emotions, and you need to balance and process the information, as you said, breathe, take a pause, step back, and make a rational decisions where your emotions are not like on intense level. So I totally agree with you
Really
on that.
agree. And it's difficult. Sometimes
It's
it's
very
very
difficult.
difficult, especially because today so many pressures are around us, right? And we're expected to it's kind of like know the answer for everything,
And do
right?
you think in Dubai is hardest?
Yes, I think Dubai is not the hardest. It's probably one of the hardest cities in the world. I think every cosmopolitan city has this. We're in a region full of expats, different communities, different cultures, different industries, mindsets. So I think it's actually harder here because you kind of need to balance your emotions more constantly, and because your life is constantly on a move.
Yeah.
So if you don't take that break or that step back and learn how to make decisions based on a calm and more patient and rational, subjectivity, you might risk a lot of, emotional turbulence on a
Yeah.
day-to-day basis.
And how do you find the Dubai market?
I think Dubai market is an amazing market. I think it's evolving. I've said this in the past. I've written about this in the past and shared it on social media, where people say Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And we keep saying that to people. Sometimes we come up with that excuse and we say Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, Dubai was built
In 50 years.
Exactly. And I'm like, well, it happens. It's possible. It's all about focus, about motivation, about passion, and being driven. So I think that is the key of Dubai. And then I love, the region's most core values, which are tolerance. So imagine combining all of that and adding tolerance and respect to that.
Yes.
What can you not achieve? Everything.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, so let's go to the second part of this podcast. So, as a brand and marketing expert, so let's discuss your point of view about AI and in different industries as luxury, how you use AI, because AI, it's like, it's not a new trend because it's already in the market, but every day more people are using AI, and how you take advantage of this technology and how you use for your strategy, for your to execute the work for content reporting or whatever.
So this is a very interesting topic, and everyone's talking about this, right?
Yes.
So first thing is, people tend to say AI is going to take our jobs. I don't believe AI is going to take anyone's job. I
Me
believe
neither.
AI is kind of your co-pilot, and you're the pilot. So you're always going to have to drive the plane, right?
Of course.
And your co-pilot is going to support you in that. So in my example, and within my industry, mainly would that be healthcare? Would that be luxury brands? Would that be, tech brands? It I truly believe that AI is a co-pilot to help me save time efficiently in certain projects that are rolling, right? So here I would say, for example, content ideation, would be a great way to use AI. Reporting tools would be, a great tool is AI. And these kind of things kind of spare you time to focus on the strategy and to lead the project and execute it in a much more efficient manner than having to, let's say, spend all that time on the back end doing all of these aspects. So I think AI is actually if you know how to use it properly, if you know how to navigate it, and maintaining your brand voice and identity, it's an extremely good co-pilot.
Do you have any example of a campaign that you saw recently that you think, okay, this is a game changer, so the things are really changing at this moment?
I think in terms of like changes, that there's a lot of like experiences with virtual stores, driven by AI. So a lot of these experiences, I think, are extremely interesting for people. You can have an AI-driven, experience given out to clients, automation-wise. I think that's very interesting. I also feel that in terms of social media and content, AI can help you. The concept would be yours. You would conceptualize it, but it would basically break it down for you and create a full, let's say, calendar for you, saying this is how you want to, idealize your campaign. So I think that's a game changer, and a lot of brands are using that. I also saw something really interesting the other day. We always talk about the human facet and the AI facet.
Yes.
Well, there's actually an AI program now that will create a person's face with a voiceover where you can speak about your brand and use a person without having to use a model in this case to talk about the brand and share content to make it more, personable. And I thought that was incredible.
Yes, and you
That
save a
is,
lot of money.
yeah, and yeah, apart from saving money, it's so interesting. I could have different features, different people to connect to my audience, and I would be telling the content that needs to go, and this person, which is an AI tool, would be speaking to the audience. And I think that's an incredibly interesting, take.
But take it to the other extreme, how you see it. Imagine that now all the brands start to doing this content, so people just watching chats. They are not watching
A real
people
human.
anymore.
I know what you're trying to say, that there is that person real. It's a bit about the the veil over, is it a real human or is it AI
Yes.
speaking to me? I think if it's balanced and navigated in the sense that it's used for, let's say, shorter ads, shorter reels, to kind of just communicate and have that human presence, I think it's great. But overall, in a full brand experience, the human and the actual people part of the brand are still going to be the core and the important aspect to have in terms of social media awareness.
And do you think that we increase like the offline experience as well to
Yes.
balance that online virtual experience?
Yes, you must have seen that trend happen a lot in the wellness industry or in the, when I say wellness, I mean, personal, time and space. We'll see that people want to do things in person together. They no longer want to sit behind, a computer or, learn from AI-driven tools only, And when I talk about this, I talk about, meditation, yoga, Pilates, There's always going to be a need for that human energy and human touch to come in, connection. I think very soon, in my personal perspective, and I think a lot of people will disagree to what I'm saying, we are going to need a very strong balance between the actual human experiences and the AI-driven experiences. Yes. Because people, especially in my industry, when I'm talking about high net worth clients here, they want a personalized experience. They want to be knowing that they're talking to someone on the other side or that person is in front of them to, offer that experience or product or service to them. And that's not going to change. So even if no matter how much technology is fun and AI is interesting and fascinating, I think the human touch will be extremely important for people in the coming years.
Yes. And talking about your connections, you travel a lot, right? How traveling change your life personally and professionally? You have like one moment, one trip that you said, no, was a game changer, I changed my perspective. Do you remember?
I do, actually. I think you're going to laugh if I tell you which one it is, but I love planning. And I love having everything, very strategically planned in my life. So even if I go on a holiday, I go on a business trip, I'm not so spontaneous. Nowadays, I am a little bit more, but I never used to be a very spontaneous person, like just go with the flow kind. And a few years ago, I decided to go on a trip I thought I'd never enjoy, and that was a safari to Masai Mara.
Okay.
And I'm the kind of person who knows where I'm staying, what the facilities are going to look like, what the plan is going to be, and how I'm going to be safeguarded. It's such an experience. But I ended up going to Masai Mara not knowing anything. So a friend of mine booked this trip and we went together, and I didn't know much about the experience. I didn't know how I was going to react. I think that really changed the courage and opened up doors to being a bit more spontaneous. Also that connection to nature, the connection to, what is out there in the world and how, amazing it is to explore things in a more, let's say, spontaneous manner versus a more planned and set holiday. I think Masai was a game changer. I think that was a good experience for me.
So you are more go with the flow now?
Oh, much more. I mean, I think last year I've probably done more, in the last 2 years, let's say, more adventures and risk-taking, outdoor adventures than I ever had in my life. And I think that actually brings a very strong sense of self-strength and a lot of courage. And it also helps you calm down as a person. Because I always say, if you fight the fears you have,
of course, this is the most important,
then you will be able to achieve much more. So I think that's been a fun ride for me.
And what are your best 3 cities that
João,
you visit?
I have so many best cities. It's a little bit hard to say the top 3, but Porto is number 1, where I was born, raised, I live. I know you'll disagree, but I love Porto, and I think that's home for me. And it's so funny, since I've lived in Dubai, every time I go to Porto, for me, I'm like, I'm not a tourist, but I'm like, wow. Wow, really? I'm still mesmerized, yes. And I think that's just the love I have for that city and the memories it brings back. So even if I'm technically a tourist now, every time I go back, I still have that love that Porto is the number 1 city in the world for me. Number 2 would be Malta. So I used to travel a lot in Europe for work, and I've been to amazing places for business, Central Europe, the Balkan region. However, I had a short period where I was managing Malta as a region, and I had to go a few times to Malta. It's a very small island. But
I've been there a few times as well.
But the reason why I fell in love with that place was because I'm a huge fan of architecture and city, but I love the beach. And I think Malta was the ideal, kind of place that brought both of them combined for me. So I think that would be my second city that I really, really loved and enjoyed, because it kind of, not because of the city it is, but because of what it brought with it and the combination that it had. The third, interestingly, is sitting in India, in Rajasthan. Let's call it the royal state of India. And it's called Jaipur, the Pink City. And I think I always loved history and royalty and, you know, the palaces and the architecture and the story behind each of them. Jaipur was probably the city that I fell in love with as soon as I went. I've been there more than once now, but I think I just love it. And it's the most colorful city in the world. I say the culture, the food, the people. So I think it's an admiration for that love for, you know, the history, the culture, the royal
need to go
families.
there together.
Yes, we're definitely going there together.
I never
will
been
show you
in
around.
India, and I really want to visit.
Okay, so I'm your guide to India.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah.
And for you, what is the most romantic city?
Romantic city?
Yes.
That's a good question. Okay, it's not about the romance, it's about the city I'm in love with. In love, you know, in romance. And it's very interesting. It's not really a city, it's a town. It's north of Milan, and it's called Verona.
Verona.
Yes, and Verona is where people say is the house of Juliet. And not because of that, but there's a beautiful river there. And when you stand in that river, it literally feels like you're inside a painting. And I think that's probably the most beautiful, you know, feeling of love and romance that you can get. So for me, it's Verona.
And the best city to eat?
The best city to eat. Okay, the best city to eat, although I think it's a nightmare to navigate that city, is Bangkok.
Bangkok?
Bangkok,
I thought
yes.
that you'd say like in Italy.
No, I actually said Bangkok. Why? Because if you want to really explore different types of gastronomy, food, combine the Asian fusion food, Bangkok is the place, from street food to fine dining. I think Italy is more, yes, my favorite country as a country, and my favorite food is Italian food. But then it's very much, you know, concentrated in Italy. Yeah.
And the best city to do business?
Right now?
Right now.
Dubai.
Dubai, right?
Dubai. Dubai is the right place.
And the best city to live right now for you?
Dubai.
Dubai.
Dubai. I think Dubai is, you know, going back to a bit about what we said before, I speak to a lot of my friends who are based in London, they're based in New York. A lot of our friends are based in Portugal as well. And they sometimes ask me, how do you have time? How do you have time? How can you leave work and go to a networking event? How can you leave work and go to an activity? So I think that is the unique point of what Dubai can bring to you. So I think Dubai definitely is my place.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Avani.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Joel.
Yes, I think it was a great conversation.
Thank you so much.
Soon we have a lot of news to share.
Yes, we do have a lot of news to share that we're very excited about.
Yes, but right now, just a teaser of about what you do, who you are, your perspective about the marketing side and business side. I'm very glad and happy
Thank you so much.
have here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See you on the next episode. This is a podcast sponsored by Digital Connection. Thank you.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.